Hey everybody, Brian here from the Cabinet Joint. If there's one thing Conestoga has a lot of, it's vanity combination cabinets, vanity cabinets in general. The purpose of this video today is to talk about this one, which is the vanity combination left. They also have a right version. When I say left or right, what we're talking about is the side the drawers are on. So this is a VCL. VCR drawers would be on this side. Conestoga has other options of this cabinet where it's full drawers all the way up and then the sink opening on this side. What makes this cabinet unique is it's a false drawer across the top and the sink bowl is meant to center on it. That's why there's no top drawer. Your sink bowl will just miss the top of this drawer box. Critical to know that. If you're looking for more storage and you want your sink bowl right or left justified, you're going to want the other cabinet in the lineup that has the full drawers. They've also got a full door option where it doesn't have the false drawer. It's a door below and 3 drawers on the side. So there's many combinations to look at. Find one that suits your needs. Okay, so let's get started on this vanity combination left. Now, again, I want to emphasize there's a left and a right version of this cabinet. The L and the R denote which side the drawers are on. So this is a left-hand drawers. The cabinets assemble identically, so you can just transpose what I'm about to say. What we've already done, for those of you who are doing inset, you notice we already put our mounting brackets on for the drawers as well as our hinges. If you don't know what I'm referring to, please immediately jump to the video referenced below. Tells you how to do that operation, because if you're doing inset, you want to do that before you start the assembly. If you're overlay, you can just follow along starting right now, because this box assembly itself is all the same. You just don't need to put those brackets and hinge brackets on. Talk about tools real quick. Pretty much every cabinet assembly we do is the same. You need a rubber mallet. We use a dead blow. It's got sand in it, kind of gives you a little firmer of a whack. We're using staples. It's a Bostitch staple. Hitachi makes it. They all have a version of this. In the case of a vanity or any kind of sink cabinet, instead of front and back spreader strips, you get these left and right C-shaped strips that go in, and that allows you plenty of room for your sink bowl. So these are our left and right I-beams, I'll call them. Not packed with the cabinet are 2 roughly 3x5 wood blocks. These are found in your hardware pack, believe it or not. So rummage through your drawer glides, hinges. There's boxes that clearly are labeled hardware. These are in there. So any sink-based cabinet that has a false drawer front on it is going to get these brackets, so you have to go find them. You can't locate them with the cabinet. I don't know why they don't pack them with the cabinet, but they don't. You're going to get left and right sides, which I have over here, a back panel, which I've also already put the angle brackets on. That other video I referenced earlier will show you how to put those on as well. You want to make sure your back is all fitted up for glides. And that's actually a good operation to do even if you're overlay. It's not a bad idea to put these on. Not necessary though. You can easily put these on after assembly. Not a big deal. And then I've got my bottom panel. A couple other little tidbits. Glue. What we like to use for glue is just Type on 2. Readily available at Lowe's or Home Depot. And then we've made a jig. You're going to see me use my pencil a lot to mark scribe lines. We made a jig for this. You don't need to. I will reference where we use it, but you can just either take measurements or use a straight edge. I'll talk about that during the assembly. But we made a little jig you'll see me use. So let's get to it. Front frame stays face down. As you see here, got to be face down. And you're going to start with your glue bottle. And every shoulder where you see on the front frame, oop, I already had a little run off there. You're going to run the glue bottle down that shoulder. And then a little on the outside shoulder if you can get your glue bottle in there. When you're doing inset, these brackets kind of get in your way, but wherever you can get some glue, you want to get it. Same thing on this side. And oftentimes, too much glue is not better than less glue. If you have too much glue, the glue bond can actually be compromised. So just light beads. And then I'm going to go all the way across the bottom. I have a cabinet bottom that's going to contact the back of this frame. So I'm going to run some glue along that juncture. And then I'm going to put a little bit up in the corner where those 2 I-beams connect. Remember, I don't have a spreader strip, so if you've done some base cabinets already, you would have glued that whole top. Don't need to do that. It's just got to go where the spreader strip's going to go. Then I can set my glue off to the side. First thing I do, step around here, is grab my cabinet sides. And you're going to have finished surface with your dovetails and the splines. So this is, because I'm working face down, this is my left-hand side. So I nest that in, kind of line it up with my finger. And this is where I said you can use a hammer, but you can usually press these in. Same thing on my right side. And whenever we talk about lefts and rights in cabinetry, it's as you're facing the cabinet, not as if you're standing in the cabinet looking out. It's always as you face the cabinet. So I got my sides on, I've got them lined up, top and bottom. Grab my glue bottle again, and I'm going to start halfway and just run a little bead of glue up that dovetail. Same on this side. I might get a little more in there. Now I grab my top and bottom panel, and you're going to see we took a lot of them off, but all your panels should have a sticker on it. Just peel that sticker off. What this is used for is really internal Conestoga manufacturing, but if for some reason, let's say this panel came damaged or was made the wrong width and you need a replacement, you can just take a picture of that sticker and send it to our customer service department. They'll go ahead and get you a new one just based on the information on that sticker. So now you want to make sure you have finished side in. There's finished side and an unfinished side. We want finished side in, and we want these splines down. Okay, we want them facing down. I line up my dovetails, left and right side. Some of these bigger cabinets are actually easier with a second set of hands sometimes, but once you get it started, she should slide in. And when it gets all the way to the bottom, you press it in until those splines lock in place. What you want to have is no perceivable gap down here. Okay, so all my stuff is in real good. See if I can reach across and show you this. I'm going to do my glue operation again. Halfway, halfway. And now these are the same thing. You have a finished side and unfinished side. I like to put the finished side in. Line up your dovetail. Slide that down until it's tight. Same on this one. Okay. So you're getting the drift. It's kind of the same thing as most of our other cabinets. Now we're going to drop the back on, and I've got to put a bead of glue against the side of the cabinet, not on this lower section. You picture it's an L, it's a dado, or a rabbit rather. If I put it in the lower section, this cabinet back panel is finished. That's not going to really bond well. I want to make sure the unfinished half-inch thick panel is touching the unfinished machined edge here, and so I've got unfinished wood to unfinished wood. So I turn the glue bottle sideways and run it like that. Same on this side. I use my finger as a guide, and I'm just going to run the glue bottle across the bottom of the cabinet until I have it all along that dado. Put a little on those two tabs there. Now I have all my glue surfaces with glue on them. Now here's where you want to make sure you put this on right. If I flip this panel by accident, my drawers are never going to go in. So I want to make sure I have bottom. This is the bottom of the cabinet. That's my bottom drawer right there. I line up the dado. There's some scribe lines on your back panel. That's your nailer lines. Line those up with the center of the dado. That panel will drop on. Now I like to use my mallet. This dead blow really helps. Just go along and make sure that that is fully locked in. I can't see there. I want to do it by feel. But you can see how that drops in, and you want to make sure this panel, you can look from the end and make sure you're fully seated against that plywood side all the way down, okay? Now in our shop here in Gettysburg, what we typically do is we'll run a clamp along these edges to pull these sides in. So if you've got some good 48-inch clamps or whatever size is needed for the cabinet width, you can run that. I'm going to pretend we are in a homeowner's shop who doesn't want to spend the money on those. We're going to do it without. You just want to make sure you pull these in real good. So I'm going to grab my gun. This is a Bostitch. Again, other manufacturers make them, but they take those staples. And I'm going to put a couple of pins in this scribe line just to hold this back on. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now, I'll use my jig, but pretend you don't have this jig. What you want to do is line your pencil up with the dead center of that half-inch panel, and you're just going to use your finger as a guide, and you can run it all the way down. Or, if you make a quick jig, you can do the same thing where I just put it in the right hole and run it down. That's going to be my nailer line for the cabinet side panels. If it's an unfinished side, you're going to nail right through the side. If this is a finished side, you can't nail through the side. I'll show you how to handle that in a moment. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you. If you have a situation where this is a finished end, you're going to take your stapler, I'll pretend it's on the other side, say this is a finished end, you can't come through the side. Take your gun, make sure the gun has the heel. You don't want to have it elevated, level, because you're going to blow a hole through the inside of the cabinet. You want to toenail the staple this way. Keep the gun tilted and you just ram it straight up into the... like that. So any finished ends you have, flush ends, any kind of end that's finished and you don't want to have a staple coming through the side, nail your back on that way. Once that glue sets up, she's in good shape. So now that I've got my scribe line, I'm going to work right along here. I'm going to hold this back down, and about every 3 to 4 inches, you're going to run your nail. Okay, now that I've got my sides tied in, I got a nice tight gap here, I can finish up my bottom nailer line. One thing you want to watch on these, sometimes they run off. Just a mismachining issue at Conestoga, or the panel rides away from the fence, you'll get these run off. We oftentimes will just strike a line with a straight edge to make sure, and we have a jig for that as well, but a straight edge along here just to make sure it's actually lining up with the center of that panel so you don't have a nail blow out to the inside. So just to show you how we do it, we take this trusty little jig and just remark that scribe line. This one in fact is dead on, so we're in good shape. So I'm just going to finish going along here every 3 inches, work around to the front. Same thing, but you're not going to go all the way across because there's nothing here. So I'm just going to see where I end. Want to make sure your front frame is lined up top and bottom. I'll check that again when I stand it up. The frame is what's keeping the box square. So if I have the frame sticking out or hanging below the cabinet box sides, my box is going to be racked. So I want to make sure the frame is square and level top and bottom with the cabinet sides. So I'll stand this upright and show you one more thing here. So these brackets here, I mentioned them coming in the hardware pack. These are what holds your false drawer on. Doesn't matter if it's overlay or inset, you still need these. And these get mounted once the box is built. I just take this block, run it right up against the cabinet side and shove it up as high as it will go until it hits that I-beam I put in. It goes right up against the bottom of that. And then I can just use screws or even a brad gun and just pin it or screw it to the back of the front frame. So I'll show you how I do it with the pin gun. And then this one, and the purpose of these is nothing more than to hold the false drawer on. So when I put the false drawer front, either in that opening or over it, I now have some place that I can run 2 screws to suck that drawer front on. So you're not going to use these again until you're actually mounting your drawer fronts later on. So I just put them on now so the box is ready to go. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, always give our sales reps a call, 888-211-6482, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. This cabinet has a little bit of a unique option. Yours may not look the same. It's got what we call a leg extension option with the left and right hand sides. We bring the front frame all the way to the ground. Kind of gives you a nice furniture appearance. The normal for this cabinet has a normal 3x4 toe kick like every other base cabinet we have. So your front frame would end here and it would recess back. So this is just an option on this particular customer's cabinet. So don't get confused if you're seeing something yours does not have. As the cabinet grows, if you can get it so small, I think it's a 36, it has 1 door and then your drawers. And the 1 door, you would obviously hinge to the right-hand side, your door would swing this way. As the cabinet grows, you get into double door configurations such as this 42-inch cabinet. So if I got 2 doors here and I'm doing full overlay, your hinges are going to be full overlay on this side, so my door lays over fully on the front frame. You're going to have a 1/2 inch hinge pack that goes on this side because this little skinny frame member is being shared by your drawer front and your door. So we get a lot of questions on that where somebody will put full overlay hinges on both doors and then they collide and they can't figure out, or there's a big gap actually, they can't figure out why, or they go to put their drawer on and it runs into the door. 1/2 inch overlay, full overlay. Okay, so for those of you who hung on to the end of this video, we do want to show you how to put this toe board backer on. It's a little different on this cabinet we're showing because this has what we call furniture leg extensions on the left and right side, so there's no toe kick recess. When there's a normal toe kick recess, it's as simple as lining this up with the edge of that toe kick recess and pinning through the cabinet side into the end of this board so that this flushes out with your notch and your toe kick. Very simple. The reason we have this, or the Conestoga offers this, is to give you something sturdy to nail your final toe kick to. Your final toe kick, your finished toe kick that would match this Nightfall color is going to be 1/2 inch thick plywood, so you don't really need these, but if you want it, you can put it in. The reason I want to show how to install it on this particular cabinet is because this does have this toe notch. We want 3 inches back. We want to have a blocker there, and this is what you would probably do with your finished toe kick, your nice Nightfall piece. You'd put this across the back, so if you dropped a marble, it wouldn't roll all the way to the wall. It just goes back 3 inches like a normal cabinet and gives you the same color matched material back in there. So what I would do is take your finished toe kick, or if you want to use your backer, that too, and you would just put some blocking in here, and I measured 2.5 inches back to the front of my blocking, pinned my blocking to the cabinet wall, making sure I don't blow a hole through the side, so don't use too long a pin. If you want to use screws, that's fine too. And then slide your toe board backer in, and now just pin it to your blocking. So now you have, pretend that's a Nightfall toe kick. Now you're going to say, well, what about in here where I have nothing? I would have cut a piece of the Nightfall dark black toe kick material, and I would have returned it and nailed that here. So now when I look inside, I've got Nightfall all the way around the inside of the cabinet. So that's kind of an elaborate way to have to do these backers when you have this furniture toe or an arched toe kick or something like that. Your normal cabinet, way, way, way simple. Slide that thing between your cabinet walls, nail through the cabinet wall, and you're done. Again, on a normal cabinet, that is optional. With this particular setup, I would strongly recommend it, but your normal cabinet, you don't need the backer at all. So hope that helps.